What if I told you that knowing where 400,000 new homes will be built could put $200,000 to $500,000 in your pocket? That's not hype. That's the power of timing. First home buyers who purchased in Wyndham Vale in 2014 saw their properties grow by 32% over 5 years. That's $160,000 in capital growth on a $500,000 property. Those who bought in other urban growth, similar story. The difference between wealth and regret is knowledge. Right now, Victoria is about to build 800,000 new homes over the next decade. That's according to Victoria's housing statement, the decade ahead, 2024 to 2034. Nearly 400,000 of those will be in Metro Melbourne. This isn't speculation. This is locked-in government policy. Today, you'll learn exactly where these homes will be constructed. You'll understand which growth corridors are exploding with opportunity. You'll discover the transport links that make these locations livable. And you'll know the future before your competition does. By the end of this video, you'll have the roadmap to make informed decisions that could transform your financial future. Let's get into it. Victoria's population will hit 10.3 million by 2051. That's from the Victorian government's official population projections. That's London's current population. Melbourne alone is expected to reach 9 million people by about 2050. That's according to Victoria in future population projections. This growth creates massive housing demand. The Victorian government has committed to 180,000 new homes in greenfield areas over the next decade. These are brand new suburbs with fresh infrastructure. But here's the critical shift in government policy. 70% of Melbourne's new housing should go in inner and established areas. That means apartments, townhouses, and medium-density housing in middle-ring suburbs. The remaining 30% goes to outer suburban growth corridors, the greenfield estates we're discussing today. Let me be crystal clear. This will not be enough, not even close. This 70-30th split is a planning fantasy. Inner suburbs will block density at every turn. Heritage overlays, community opposition, council rejections, legal battles. Infill development sounds great on paper, but it moves at a glacial pace in reality. For the last 3 decades, it's been the opposite. Victoria needs 800,000 new homes over the next decade just to meet baseline demand. That's 80,000 homes per year. We're currently building around 60,000 to 70,000 homes annually. The math doesn't work. The gap is widening. For the last 3 decades, it's been the opposite. Outer suburbs carried the burden. Wyndham's housing stock grew 439% since 1994. Compare that to Boroondara's 24% growth. The government is reversing this imbalance. But make no mistake, those outer growth corridors are still where massive construction will happen. They have to. There's no alternative. Inner Melbourne cannot absorb 70% of new housing without destroying the character that makes it valuable. The growth corridors will continue to dominate, whether planners admit it or not. Let's break down exactly where. Before we look forward, let's look back. Over the past decade, 2014 to 2024, 4 growth corridors dominated construction. In Melbourne's north, Donnybrook, Craigieburn, and Wollert. Exploded with development. In Melbourne's west, Wyndham Vale, Tarnett, Melton, and Werribee led the charge. In Melbourne's southeast, Casey and Cardinia, particularly Officer, Pakenham, and Cranbourne experienced the most aggressive residential development of all growth areas. In Melbourne's northwest, Sunbury, and Diggers Rest carved out its niche as standalone growth hubs. These 4 corridors absorbed the majority of Melbourne's population growth. They became home to young families, first home buyers, and migrants seeking affordability. The average dwelling completion rate over the decade was 192,000 homes annually across Australia. Victoria led the nation in construction activity. But here's the challenge. 2024 saw the lowest dwelling completions in a decade. This is unacceptable. This is negligent. When supply collapses, the consequences are catastrophic. House prices surge beyond reach. Rents become unaffordable. Families face homelessness. Crime rates climb. Unemployment rises. The social fabric tears apart when people can't find shelter. This isn't theoretical. This is the reality of failed housing policy. Building approvals dropped 15% below the 10-year average. Supply couldn't keep pace with demand. And here's my projection. The next decade will repeat this failure unless radical action is taken. The government's targets are too conservative. The timelines are too slow. We need double the construction velocity we're currently achieving. That's why knowing where construction will happen gives you a massive advantage. You'll be ahead of the inevitable scramble. Now, let's get specific. 4 growth corridors will define Melbourne's next decade of construction. The north is powered by logistics, freight, and major road projects. Key suburbs include Donnybrook, Wallet, Beveridge, Epping, Craigieburn, and Wallen. The Victorian government recently approved the Officer South Precinct Structure Plan. It will deliver 22,000 new jobs and 1,600 homes. 3 more precincts are under consultation: Melton East, Devon Meadows, and Casey Fields South. Together, they'll deliver 16,500 new homes and 7,370 jobs. Mitchell Shire is Victoria's fastest growing local government area. It's expected to grow at 6% per annum through 2036. Median house prices. Donnybrook sits at $600,000 to $650,000. Wallet is around $680,000. These are entry points for first home buyers. Transport infrastructure. The North East Link, Victoria's largest road project, opens in 2028. It will cut travel times by up to 35 minutes. The Beveridge Intermodal Freight Terminal will create thousands of jobs. Suburban university study hubs are opening in Broadmeadows and Epping in 2025. The Northern Corridor is a jobs and transport powerhouse. My assessment: the North will underdeliver on housing targets by 20% to 30%. Why? Infrastructure delays are inevitable. Labour shortages will persist. But this creates opportunity. Early buyers will benefit from constrained supply meeting explosive demand. Mitchell Shire's 6% annual growth rate is unsustainable without tripling current construction rates. Prices in Donnybrook and Wallet will hit $800,000 to $900,000 within 7 years. Get in now or get priced out forever. Melbourne's Western Corridor. The West is becoming a city within a city. Key suburbs include Wyndham Vale, Tarnit, Werribee, Melton, Rockbank, and Cobblebank. Wyndham and Melton councils will absorb 60% of Victoria's future population growth. Median house prices. Melton averages $540,000. Werribee sits around $620,000. These are the most affordable growth corridors in Melbourne. Transport infrastructure. The West Gate Tunnel is ready to go. This is huge and has taken years to build. It will reduce peak commute times by up to 20 minutes. The Melton Line electrification received $300 million in federal funding. It will triple the line's carrying capacity and allow up to 1,500 people per train. The Wyndham Vale line electrification is also underway. The Melbourne Airport rail link is transforming Sunshine into a regional transport superhub. Health and education. The new Melton Hospital opens in 2029. It's Victoria's first all-electric hospital with 274 beds. The Cobblebank Metropolitan Activity Centre will deliver health, retail and employment hubs. A suburban university study hub opens in Melton in 2025. The West offers affordability with serious infrastructure backing. My assessment: the West will be adequate, but only if every project delivers on time. That's a big if. Government infrastructure projects have a track record of delays and cost blowouts. If the Melton electrification slips past 2030, housing demand will outpace livability. The West Gate Tunnel is already years behind schedule. But here's the reality. Wyndham and Melton have no choice but to grow. They're absorbing 60% of Victoria's population growth because no other location can handle the volume. This means prices will rise regardless of infrastructure delays. Melton will hit $700,000 median prices by 2030. Wyndham Vale will reach $750,000. The West is a forced bet, and despite the supply, demand for both first home buyers and families makes it a winning bet for people who act now. The Southeast has been the workhorse of Melbourne's population growth for the past decade. Key suburbs include Cranbourne, Pakenham, Officer, Clyde, Clyde North, and Berwick. Casey and Cardinia councils dominate this corridor. Median house prices: Cranbourne and Officer average $715,000. Pakenham is similar. Land in Clyde North recently sold for $510,000 for a 512 square metre block. Transport infrastructure. The Cranbourne and Pakenham train lines serve the area. Extensions to Clyde are proposed with 2 additional stations. Bus routes 925 and 928 received $22.6 million for extensions. This improves connectivity across Officer and Pakenham. New suburbs. Pakenham East is a brand new suburb under development. It spans 630 hectares and will include 4 new schools, 2 sporting reserves and retail spaces. The Officer Pakenham State Significant Industrial Precinct brings 22,000 jobs and 1,600 homes. Major town centres are planned for Officer Pakenham, Casey Central, Clyde North and Clyde. The Southeast is mature, established and still expanding aggressively. My assessment: the Southeast will exceed targets, but at the cost of livability. This corridor has carried Melbourne's growth for a decade. It's exhausted. Infrastructure is already strained. The Cranbourne and Pakenham lines are overcrowded during peak hour. Extensions to Clyde won't solve capacity problems. They'll just push congestion further out. Schools, hospitals and roads are already struggling to keep pace. But here's the brutal truth. Construction will continue regardless. Developers have land. Buyers need homes. The Officer Pakenham precinct alone is bringing 22,000 jobs. That's a population of 50,000 to 60,000 people when you factor in families. Prices in Cranbourne and Officer will hit $900,000 to $950,000 by 2032. Clyde North will cross $800,000. The Southeast is a guaranteed growth play, but quality of life will decline unless infrastructure catches up. Melbourne's Northwest Corridor. Sunbury and Diggers Rest operate as Melbourne's Northwest standalone growth hub. It's governed by Hume City Council. Key suburbs include Sunbury, Diggers Rest, and surrounding estates like Rosenthal and Sherwood Grange. Median house prices. Sunbury averages around $650,000 to $700,000. Transport infrastructure. The Sunbury Railway Line connects directly to Melbourne CBD. Regional V-Line services provide additional connectivity. Sunbury balances proximity to Melbourne with a regional town feel. It appeals to families seeking space without sacrificing connectivity. My assessment: Sunbury will remain undersupplied. Here's why. Sunbury doesn't have the land supply of Melton or Wyndham. It's geographically constrained. It can't scale. This means prices will rise faster than construction can respond. Sunbury's median will hit $850,000 to $900,000 by 2030. That's expensive for a growth corridor, but it reflects the premium buyers pay for lifestyle. Sunbury won't solve Melbourne's housing crisis, but for buyers who want a country feel with city access, it's a solid hold. The Victorian government has committed to releasing 27 greenfield areas over the next decade. These span across many of the same locations previously mentioned. The pipeline provides 180,000 new homes. The first 3 greenfield plans released include Northern Freight Precinct in Whittlesea Council, an employment precinct. Cardinia Creek South Part 2 in Cardinia Council, a residential precinct. Cororoit Part 2 in Melton Council adjacent to Caroline Springs. My assessment: 180,000 homes from 27 greenfield areas is grossly inadequate. Do the math. That's 6,667 homes per precinct. Victoria needs 800,000 homes over the next decade. These 27 precincts deliver 22.5% of that target. Where's the other 620,000 homes? Inner city infill? Suburban densification? Good luck. Here's the reality. We'll build 500,000 to 600,000 homes maximum over the next decade. That leaves a 200,000 to 300,000 home shortfall. This shortfall will drive prices through the roof. The first home buyers who secure properties now will win. Here's your takeaway. 4 growth corridors will dominate Melbourne's housing construction over the next decade. The North. Buy for freight and logistics jobs. The Northeast Link transforms commute times. The West. Buy for affordability and infrastructure. Melton electrification and Airport Rail Link are game changers. Melton and Wyndham Vale offer the lowest entry points. The Southeast. Officer and Pakenham will deliver massive supply. Expect capital growth with infrastructure strain. The Northwest. Sunbury and Diggers Rest show a limited supply means steady appreciation. Here's what you do now. Map these locations. Drive through them. Understand the infrastructure timelines. Secure pre-approval financing. Position yourself in guaranteed demand zones. The buyers who act on this knowledge will build wealth over the next decade. Those who wait will watch from the sidelines as prices surge beyond reach. You now have the roadmap. The question is, will you act? It's go time. Now check out this next video. And if you'd like to work with us to help with your finance, check out the link in the description.